pitching on opening day, Zach Greinke allowing just one earned run in 6 innings. On Wednesday night in the by Kellogg's, the best to you each morning. So one series down, the Royals losing 2 out of 3 to the Tigers, but it wasn't because of the starting pitching on opening day. Zach Greinke allowing just one earned run in 6 innings. On Wednesday night in the rain, Luke Hochevar 7 2/3 scoreless innings. Brian Bannister yesterday just 1 run allowed in 6 innings. Tonight, it's Kyle Davies going up against the Boston Red Sox. And the first pitch from Kauffman Stadium is coming up next. Royals baseball brought to you tonight in high definition by Time Warner Cable, where HD is free with digital cable. And we welcome you back to Kauffman Stadium and opening week presented by Mitsubishi Motors as the Royals begin the first of three with the Boston Red Sox. Red Sox managed by Terry Francona. Here's their lineup tonight presented by M&I Bank. And the Red Sox went out and were busy during the offseason acquiring players, but more so because of the glove than with the bat. Adrian Beltre is now the Red Sox third baseman. Mike Cameron is in center field, and Marco Scutaro at short, so a brand new left side of the infield. Let's go down to the field and check in with Joe Goldberg.
Well, guys, it's the debut this year for Kyle Davies in 2010. Had a rough spring training after a great September last year, 1-3, 8.47 ERA, but things really start to turn for the better for him. If a spring training game, no walks, 6 strikeouts. He said that day was the blueprint for him, just to be aggressive. Don't try to pick spots. Don't try to hit the glove. Be aggressive. Go out there. Don't think too much. He believes that if he does that, he can have a very good season. This is his 100th career start, 26 years old, hoping he puts it all together this year in 2010. Guys?
All right, thank you, Joel. And as Kyle and the Royals take the field, we will take a look at the Kia scouting report.
Well, Ryan, he really finished up okay in spring training. The 9 walks in 17 innings do kind of stand out, and that kind of speaks to what Joel was talking about, him wanting to be more consistent, early strikes, and induce some early outs and get deep in the game.
Here's the defense behind him tonight. The Scott Pasednik, Rick Ankiel, and David DeJesus in the outfield. Alberto Callaspo, Unievsky Betancourt, Chris Getz, and Billy Butler around the horn. And Jason Kendall, who has caught all 4 games behind the plate for Davies. Terry Francona, the Red Sox went forever without winning a World Series. He comes along, wins in his first year, 2004, and then the Red Sox won it again in 2007.
Well, that'll solidify you in Boston. I tell you, when I was there in '95, we won the division, and you have all these high hopes of being the first staff to to get this little monkey off their back. And it didn't happen. We lost the first round in Cleveland on a big home run by ex-Raw manager Tony Pena.
Kyle Davies is facing the Boston Red Sox for the first time since his major league debut. That was back in 2005 when he was pitching for the Atlanta Braves, and he went 5 scoreless innings against Boston, and the pitcher that he beat that night was Tim Wakefield, who starts tonight. So here's Jacoby Ellsbury, and you want to keep him off the bases. He had 70 stolen bases last year. He had more than half of the Sox stolen bases. He was 3 out of 15 in the Red Sox opening series. That was at home against the Yankees. Stolen base, couple of runs scored. Yankees took 2 out of 3. Ball 1 on Ellsbury. Something that we always watch with Davies is how amped up he is in the first inning. That's usually his most troublesome inning.
Well, a lot of guys get really too wound up and try to get into it, but the best thing to do is go out there, throw that first strike, get relaxed, and then let the game kind of come to you. Sometimes when you try to work harder rather than smarter, then you burn your adrenaline up, and before you know it, you're out of the ball game.
It is a beautiful night tonight. Nothing but sunshine, blue skies, 69 degrees. Started late because of the Zach Greinke presentation, 7:21. Time and temp brought to you by the Parking Spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The Parking Spot at KCI. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Ellsbury.
You know, one thing about Kyle Ryan is that he understands what he needs to do. It's not like he came into spring training saying, I deserve a spot on this ball club. He knows that in order to get a spot on this club, you got to pitch well.
Changeup stayed up, and Ellsbury's going to try for 2 on DeJesus, and that was not a good decision. out by about 3 or 4 steps.
As you said, Ryan, this is the changeup that Kyle left up in the zone. And Ellsbury kind of hit it down toward the end of the bat, but you got to really leave home plate looking to stretch a single into a double. And he caught David going to his right. He knew he had to spin all the way around to make that throw. But to David's credit, he got it handled very well. You know, the one thing that David did was if he takes that turn going to his right, he probably safe, but he turned to the inside, which probably surprised Ellsbury when he came in.
1-1 now on Dustin Pedroia, who hit .469 against the Royals last year. To the same part of the field, deeper, right center. And DeJesus is there for the second out. So a good start so far for Davies. And now Victor Martinez. Kyle Davies, 4th round pick of the Atlanta Braves back in 2001. And the only reason he was that low, although the 4th round is still pretty high, is because everyone was convinced he was going to go to Georgia Tech, but the Braves took a gamble, and Kyle is from that area, grew up as a Braves fan, and they were able to lure him away from Georgia Tech. One hop to Betancourt. So hoping for a good first inning. All Kyle needs is 9 pitches to get through the Red Sox. Up against the knuckleballer Tim Wakefield, David DeJesus, Scott Podsednik, and Alberto Callaspo. Then Billy Butler, Rick Ankiel, Jose Guillen. Jason Kendall moves up to the number 7 position, followed by Yuniesky Betancourt and Chris Getz. Facing 43-year-old Tim Wakefield. Here's the Kia scouting report.
Tim is just exclusively a knuckleball pitcher. He does have a little BP fastball that he'll throw in there every now and then, but he's a good fielder. You know, he used to be an infielder before he converted to pitching. But basically, he's going to be straight knuckleball. When he gets behind, then he has a BP fastball.
David, 4 out of 14 against the Tigers. Picked up his first stolen base of the year. Scored 3 times. And he gets a fastball for strike 1.
Well, I talked to Timmy a little bit before the game. He's one of those pitchers that don't have to come later than the team. so he was here early, and he said last time he was here, his back was bothering him so bad he couldn't hardly move. But he got that taken care of in the offseason. They say he feels great.
I remember that game. It was in September. It was cold. It was drizzly, and he was limping around, and there was no hiding the pain that he was dealing with. That knuckler floats in, and it's 1-2. He also spent time on the disabled list last year in the middle of the year because of the bad back. So he pitched in just 21 games for the Red Sox. 2-2. Former Royals batting coach Charlie Lau said it best. There are several theories on how to hit a knuckleball. Unfortunately, none of them work. Over Wakefield, who's a good fielding pitcher, and Pedroia throws him out. So what will the Royals try against Wakefield? Here's Joel.
Well, I talked to a bunch of the players about it. Jose Guillen's been around a long time, and he said he got advice early on in his career from David Justice in trying to hit Tim Wakefield, who said, don't change anything, just go out there. A lot of guys will get a heavier bat, and he said, don't get the heavier bat, just go out and do what you normally do. Also talked to Unieski Betancourt, and he's got a double, a homer. He's 5 for 13 lifetime against Wakefield. He said he just sees the ball and hits it, but the change that he makes is that he makes sure that his hands and his body are more relaxed than usual. Just lets him see things and be a lot more easy at the plate, guys.
1 ball, 1 strike on Posednik.
As Joe pointed out last year, when he asked me to do like a little pregame deal on how to hit the knuckleball, and I said, why do you pick me to do this? Because I had no clue what I did against knuckleballers, and he gave me some pretty impressive numbers. And then Rick Ankiel came up to me and says, how do you approach these guys? So I gave him my opinion of it. You just got to wait till the very last minute, try to hit singles, don't try to hit doubles and home runs. He says, I've had about 7 people give me their opinion on how to hit the knuckleball. I said, Rick, you know what you have to do? You have to go to the book. You have to go look it up. If they got the numbers, listen. If not, the numbers, don't listen.
The most common theory I heard, and it has a little bit of a ring to it, if it's high, let it fly. If it's low, let it go. So if it starts up, it's going to break into the strike zone. If it starts down around the middle of the plate, it's going to break out of the strike zone. And that just ruins my theory right there, because it was high, and he let it fly. Scott let it fly, but it fluttered away from his bat.
Some knuckleballers, like the great Wilbur Wood, can direct it to go any way he wanted it to go. It may go down and away, down and in. So you just have to be able to just, like I say, my approach was just try to hit singles and don't try to hit home runs.
Now, that last swing by Posednik was interesting because the knuckleball is going to break down, and it looked like Posednik took more of a downward stroke. Is this the kind of swing, since the ball is going down, that you might want to try and take an uppercut stroke as Callaspo drives one into center field and a runner at first with 2 outs?
I think it started high, and then when it started to go down, he started chasing it. With his normal swing pattern, he tried to catch it with it that way, where you could take a softball approach and get it more up in your swing. Yeah, Caspo's swing was a little more up there than usually a little more down, but it was a little more up to it. But it could probably work.
That's a good start for Alberto tonight. He had a rough game yesterday, coming up several times with runners in scoring position, and grounded into a couple of double plays and also struck out. Billy Butler 3 for 11 with 3 runs scored. Also driving in 3 against the Tigers. Billy is 2 out of 7 against Wakefield. Oh, and 2.
Yeah, you go back to Callaspo yesterday with all the men he left on base. I mean, that's one of those true reasons why you play baseball and not football, because the next game is tomorrow and it's not a week from today. So I guess he had a hard time sleeping last night. You just can't wait to get back to this game tonight.
That's about as hard as Wakefield throws right there.
That's about it.
The throw over to first base as opposed to the throw to the plate. Victor Martinez has been handling the knuckleball for Wakefield, and for years, when Jason Varitek was the starter, the Red Sox would go out and specifically get a backup catcher that handled Tim Wakefield. That was his job. He was Tim Wakefield's personal catcher. But Martinez comes over from Cleveland to become the starting catcher, and he just had no problems with the knuckleball. Wakefield strikes out 2. The Royals get a hit. No score at the end of 1. And I'm sure the Red Sox would love this pace to continue after their series against the Yankees. Kevin Youkilis taking a strike. 3 games between the Red Sox and the Yankees that took 3 hours 46 minutes, 3 hours 48 minutes, and 3 hours 21 minutes. Deep center field, but into a crosswind, and Ankiel backing up onto the warning track. 1 away. Ankiel making the catch right in front of our FoxSportsKansasCity.com sign. Make that your home for Royals video and updates this year. FoxSportsKansasCity.com for all Royals news all season. Now David Ortiz, Major League Baseball's all-time home run hitter for a designated hitter. It was an off year for his standards, but it was a milestone year for Ortiz. He hit his 300th home run last season. That was actually against the Royals, and he also collected his 1,000th career RBI.
Well, let's take a look at Fox Tracks right here, Ryan, and you can see right there he's right on the corner with that curveball.
Ortiz, and a lot of power hitters don't do what he does, but he's so strong with 2 strikes will really widen out his stance, take away some of his stride. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
But he seems like he's always had trouble ever since that wrist injury. He just seems like the bat speed wasn't quite where it needed to be, and got off to a slow start last year, picked it up the second half, got what, 27 home runs, so that came out 16 home runs after the break.
Yeah, I say an off year, but you're right, 28 home runs, 99 RBIs. I mean, that's a career year for most guys. Off speed, struck him out. So after the game opening single, Davies has retired the next 4.
Well, what makes this pitch good is the pitch before, the one right up in on his hands, and that changeup just this is what Kyle Davis wants his changeup to do. Just move away from the left-hander. He throws right at the middle of the plate so it to go to the corner. A lot of guys throw it off the corner, and then it's a ball right out of their hands, and they don't get the same effect.
And now Adrian Beltre, the former Dodger, the former Mariner. And the theme for the Red Sox during the offseason was improving their defense. A smash to Betancourt, Beltre's former teammate in Seattle, and Butler looked like he simply just dropped the ball. So Davies almost followed a 9-pitch inning with a 10-pitch inning.
Well, an excellent play by Betancourt. I mean, he did his drop step, gathered himself, made a nice strong throw to Billy, and Billy just overreached for it to hit it right on the heel of his glove.
Davies back with a strike on J.D. Drew.
Now, normally when they're first baseman, they love to catch those balls from their backhand side because the ball ends up right between the thumb and the forefinger, but Billy just overreached for it.
J.D. Drew, 24 home runs last year for the Red Sox. Also had 30 doubles. Pretty good team when he hits 7th in the batting order. Never know. That ball could have gotten caught up in that State Farm sign or maybe the lights above the Royals Hall of Fame and just, an inch or so up or down, and that's right in the webbing of the glove.
Well, that's true, and a lot of times when you go to that backhand side and the throw starts to go down, now you got to gauge, is it right on the ground, how high it is off the ground, and sometimes you think it's lower than you see it with your eyes. You can overreach, and that's why it hits you up high on your glove like that.
Well, Davies has a great changeup tonight. J.D. Drew out in front. It's 1-2.
That's the pitch he worked hard on in spring training. Just make that slider that changeup just go down and away like that. But everything is based on the fact, Ryan, he's throwing good fastballs. He's moving on both sides of the plate, and he's getting ahead of the hitters.
Came back with another changeup.
Yeah, I think everybody in the Royals front office, including their coaching staff, really like what Kyle Davies brings to the table. I mean, they like his stuff. They know he's got above average stuff, and it's just a matter of how consistent he's going to be with it. Getting ahead of these hitters, cut those high pitch counts down, and get deeper in the ball game.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Kyle in a similar situation as Luke Hochevar. When this season's over, there will be fewer question marks hovering over their heads. We'll have a pretty good idea what those guys are all about at the end of this season. Curveball got him looking. So he's got the changeup working and the curveball, and pitches a scoreless second. Royals beginning a 3-game series with the Boston Red Sox. Both teams beginning the year 1-2, both losing 2 out of 3 at home to begin the season. Rick Ankiel was the hero on Wednesday night, coming up with a double that helped lead to the game-winning run in the 11th inning. 2 out of 12 in the Tiger series. Down 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, Ankiel asking you and others what to do against a knuckleball. My numbers say he's 2 for 4 with a double against Wakefield. That ball's sinking, and it drops in front of J.D. Drew. So he's 3 for 5, and the Royals have their second hit.
Well, he's out front a little bit here. Just gets right off the end of the bat. It's starting to go away from him, but he was able to stay in there with it. But you can see right here, he's really loaded right there, but he comes off his backside really quick here, and he hits this ball right at the end of his swing. You know, his wrist had started to turn over right before he made contact with the ball.
Oh, 0-1 to Jose Guillen, 3 out of 11 with an RBI. And of all the Royals in the lineup tonight, he has the most career at-bats against Wakefield, 14. He has 3 hits. Got under it. It could be a tough sky early in the game. And Scudero out from short. Retires Guillen, 1 away. Don't forget about this year's You Call It sweepstakes. You can enter today by participating in tonight's You Call It question. 9 opportunities this year for you to win a suite with 11 guests. Just follow the directions provided in the text bounce back message. That's how you enter, or you can go to sprint.com/sponsorships/sports. And as Royals honor Zach Greinke tonight, we are going to focus in on some of the Royals' Cy Young seasons. Zach was joined on the field, in addition to others, by David Cohn, who won a Cy Young here in Kansas City, where he grew up, and Brett Saberhagen, who won 2. 0-1 to Kendall. So, what is your favorite Cy Young season? Zach last year, Cohn in '94, Saberhagen in '89, or Saberhagen in '85, the championship year. Text 432-432, enter keyword Royals, followed by a space, and then A, B, C, or D. Standard text rates apply.
Yeah, it's awful tough to beat C.
Although D was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
I'd trade D for C in a heartbeat, yeah. World Series MVP.
And he was just a baby. What was that, his second major league season?
Yes. We went to we went to playoffs in '84 and won the series in '85.
2 balls, 1 strike to Jason Kendall. He was 3 out of 9 against the Tigers. Also walked 3 times. So Trey Hillman moves him up a spot. Yuniesky Betancourt drops down to number 8. Two and two.
You'd think it'd be easier to run on Tim Wakefield, but for a knuckleball, he's pretty quick to the plate. He gets rid of the ball very quick, and guys don't realize how quick he is, and it kind of freezes a lot of guys at first base.
Well, Ankiel's running, and this throw is going to end up in center field. Cameron doing a good job of backing up. Ankiel was thinking about third base, but he holds. But now there are 2 outs as Wakefield collects his 3rd strikeout.
Now Rick gets a good jump here. There's a high throw. over Pedroia's head, but Mike Cameron, a good center fielder, anticipates that play, and he should be on the run as soon as that ball passes the hitter and keep that runner from going to third base. Good defense. Going back to what you said, they want to improve their defense. That's part of it, keeping that extra 90 feet away.
Ball 1 to Yuniesky Betancourt. I looked up what the Red Sox did last year, and they, with the focus on defense, I was expecting to see some very poor numbers, but the Red Sox actually had the third best fielding percentage, which isn't the best measurement for defense, but they also had the third fewest errors. So it's not like they had a horrible defense last year. It wasn't so much the errors or the fielding percentage, but just feeling like they needed players with better range.
Yeah, it usually goes back to the plays that aren't made, whether it be turning the double plays that need to be turned, or just being able to go in the hole, keep the ball on the infield, with man on second, try to keep the runner from scoring. All those things come into play as far as overall when the manager's looking at his defense, how many runs are you actually saving?
2 balls, 1 strike. 5 out of 13 against Tim Wakefield. Two and two. Theo Epstein, the Red Sox general manager, saying something which sounds somewhat foreign today, but it was commonly believed back when you played that a run saved is just as valuable as a run scored. Teams for so long in the juice ball era, whatever you want to call it, were a lot more interested in scoring runs than they were preventing runs.
The game has changed.
Full count to Betancourt.
When I played second base and hit 20 home runs for the first time, I thought I had died and went to heaven. And all of a sudden, 20 home runs, like, well, that's nothing, you know. And now you see more teams now, because of the steroid era and getting away from it, now more teams are starting to talk defense. Even second base has been profiled out as a power position by some organizations.
Wakefield has struck out 4, and the Royals have stranded 2 in the first 2. It's 2010. We're in the home stretch for the 2010 census. It's not too late. Fill out and mail back your census form today. Oh, I thought that was a real gorilla. What a disappointment.
You wanted to see people scramble.
Yeah. Next thing you know, someone's going to say that Slugger really isn't a lion.
Because he walks on two legs rather than 4.
An upright lion. Slugger during that Wednesday night's game was probably the only comfortable person in the house. He loves those cold games because the slugger outfit can get a bit swampy on those hot, humid days.
Well, you're right. Our truck says, is he a person?
2-2 to Mike Cameron. Cameron hit .250 last year with 24 home runs. Second hit of the game for the Red Sox, so they've had a base runner in each of the first 3 innings. Kyle Davies last year was putting together his second straight strong September. This is what he did in that final month. Tied for second in wins, second in ERA, 1.06, and the league hitting just 175 against him. And his last start in September was 6 shutout innings against Cleveland, giving up just 1 hit. But he didn't pitch again. Had troubles with his right shoulder. So done after the middle of September. The year before that, in 2008, he finished at 4-1, and that is what led to some of the optimism for last year. Davies, Greinke, and Gil Mesh all went 4-1 in September, and the Royals had the best record in Major League Baseball in September of 2008. Well, you just look at the lower third of this order, Frank. J.D. Drew, 24 home runs, batting 7th. Mike Cameron, 24 home runs, batting 8th. And now Marco Scutaro, who had a breakout season last year with the Blue Jays, he was their leadoff man. 35 doubles, drove in 60, but in Boston, he hits 9th.
It might be one of those lineups where the manager just puts it out there, crosses his legs, and kind of let things develop in front of him. Because all these guys, they've been around enough and they know how to play. You don't have to really pay as much attention to them. Say maybe Trey Hillman to his young players. Terry Francona just sits back, eats sunflower seeds, and say, okay, let's see what happens.
Two balls, 1 strike. Scutaro had the American League collectively scratching its heads as he was redefining himself. He spent a long time in the big leagues, pretty much as a utility infielder, and the Toronto Blue Jays handed over the starting shortstop position to him, and he just broke out. And he did it at the age of 34, or make that 33. He's 34 now, so you're not talking about a guy like you, Frank, who maybe played 1 or 2 years as a backup and still young became a starter. I mean, this guy had been around for a while as a utility infielder.
Well, at his age, the one thing you can point to is the fact that he kept himself in pretty good shape. A lot of times when you're a backup guy, you don't stay as polished, but then he's been around long enough. He knows the league a little bit better. He knows how to work pitches a little bit better. So I don't think anyone expected to get out of him what they got, but some guys are just lucky that way. But it comes from hard work.
Betancourt to the grass. That's the first out of the 3rd inning.
Well, Jason's an old-fashioned catcher using an old-fashioned mask, and if the league hadn't said, hey, you guys have to wear a skull cap under this mask, he might have had a little headache right there.
And the league has great respect for Jason Kendall. Marco Scutaro was more concerned about Kendall than running out that pop-up, which was in fair territory. That's a pretty smart move. I mean, make sure that Kendall's all right with it, because Scutaro's going to come up 2 or 3 more times tonight.
That was a man on first. He pressed it out. I'm out. But that's the other strange. I mean, you don't expect to hit the catcher. I mean, that's the last thing you expect, and when you do, you are going to definitely pay attention to it.
Jacoby Ellsbury opened the game with a single into shallow right center. Tried to take second on David DeJesus. and David gunned him down. In on the hands, but it's going to drop in front of Posednik. And it spins away from him. Cameron will go to third, and Ellsbury into second base. That ball had a lot of side spin on it, and it kicked into foul territory rather than bounce towards Posednik.
That's one of the things when you hit a ball like that, Ryan, you got to kind of understand what this ball might do. And he didn't run right away. He just sort of looked at it. But once you hit the ground, you knew it was going to bounce to his right. And him being a left-hander, if he turns the other way, he probably gets a better throw off because he gets back on top. He turned to the inside and made a lot more difficult throw for him.
So 2 runners in scoring position for Pedroia. Kendall blocks the curveball. Pedroia flied to right in the first inning.
Now, that had to be a pretty good read by Mike Cameron going into second base. He had to feel like that ball was going to bounce to his right also, because that Posednik is right there at third base. So he did a good job of base running and reading that ball off the bat.
Two 2-0. Royals and Red Sox hooked up 8 times last year. Boston winning 5 out of 8. And Pedroia driving in 7 runs in the 8 games while hitting .469 against KC. Two and one. Cameron opened the inning with a single, and with 1 out, Ellsbury with the bloop double to left.
That's one thing that Kyle had to do tonight, Ryan, is he make a good pitch and he jams a guy and he gives up a base hit. He can't let that bother him. He just got to come back and go right after the next hitter. But this is like he's overthrowing just a little bit. His changeup was high, up and in. Just gotta you don't like it that the guy got a base hit, but you just kind of settle down and say, okay, I made my pitch. The results wasn't what they were. I just got to come back and go after the next hitter.
Infield all the way back, so the Royals will trade a run for an out if Pedroia hits a ground ball. Great pitch on the corner.
Well, this will give us a good read here. Foxtrack tells us that it's right on the corner. That's an unhittable pitch. Either you're going to break your bat, foul it off, or pop it up. One of the two. You're not going to keep it fair.
Tried to get him to chase the breaking ball. So Pedroia down to first, and with 1 out, the base is loaded for Victor Martinez. Outstanding pitching matchup tomorrow for the 6-10 game, with Zach Greinke going against Josh Beckett, who just signed a 4-year contract extension. Coverage begins at 5:30 with Hy-Vee Royals Live. So Davies with 2 scoreless innings, now in a jam with the bases loaded, 1 out. Martinez grounded to short in the first inning. Martinez coming over in a trade last year from the Indians, and it was an emotional departure for him. He was the emotional leader for Cleveland. Didn't like the thought of leaving the Indians, but really helped light a fire for the Red Sox when he got to Boston. He had .336 in 56 games and also had a 25-game hitting streak. Davies falls behind 2-0.
Well, Kyle was selling along pretty good until that bloop double by Jacoby Ellsbury. And then Pedroia's at bat might have been his most erratic hitter of the day. And now he's put Victor Martinez in a pretty good spot to be able to take advantage of it by falling behind 2 balls, no strikes.
We talked about what Pedroia did against the Royals last year. Martinez, with the Indians and the Red Sox combined, hit .391 against the Royals. Two and one. Cameron at third base, Ellsbury at second, and Pedroia at first. Grounded to Butler. Down to second for one. Double play with Davies covering. Now the Royals watched the Tigers do that all day yesterday, and they get a big double play tonight. Community service as well as to professional wrestling. Former Liberty Mayor and Clay County Commissioner, longtime civic servant to his community, and was named the 2000 Clay County Citizen of the Year. When he was broadcasting, Bill was often known for his trademark "Hello, wrestling fans."
I heard that on many Saturday mornings, right?
Left center field, Ellsbury, the former center fielder who moves over to left, runs down the fly ball from Chris Getz. That's another way the Red Sox improved their defense, taking a center fielder in Ellsbury and putting him at left, replacing Jason Bay. Tim Wakefield has struck out 4. He has given up base hits to Callaspo and Ankiel. David DeJesus grounded out to second base in the first inning. There aren't many pitchers that DeJesus has trouble with in the American League with his balance and sound hitting mechanics, but he's just 1 for 10 against Wakefield. And I think we've discussed this before, and it just popped into my mind when Posednik swung and missed, kind of taking a chop down swing. That, you know, most hitters, you don't want them to have an uppercut type of a swing, but you wonder against a guy like Wakefield if you don't want to uppercut a bit. And David has more of a downward swing than an uppercut swing.
Well, a lot of it's how hard you swing, you know, rather than just using your hands and just trying to like hit the ball hard on the ground for a base hit. Some other guys want to continue to swing hard when they see a ball's where they want it, and by the time they let it go, the ball's always somewhere else.
That's Wakefield's first walk. So Posednik with a strikeout in the first inning. That makes him 1 for 8 against Wakefield. Coming off a 4-hit game yesterday against the Tigers. 12th time in his career he's had 4 hits in a game. I don't think he likes that call. Shaking his head at home plate umpire Mike Esbrook.
But we have a way of finding out. We have Fox tracks. They'll tell us exactly where this pitch is.
Well, I guess it was the downward momentum of the pitch that took Martinez's glove out of the strike zone.
Yeah, they say it's not where he catches it, where it is when he passes the knees, when it passes across the plate. Does that remind the fans that on Fox tracks the sides remain the same and the top adjusts to the height of the hitter? For all those who might question, it may not be fair for a guy that's 6'4" and a guy that's like 5'2".
Another thing we have to remind you about Fox tracks too is that it's normal if every time you see it you feel like making a run for the border.
I'm going to leave that one alone.
See the Taco Bell sign on there? Every time I see that it makes me hungry.
I'm glad you cleared it up because I had no clue where you were going.
Speaking of tacos, the Royals 9-game ticket packages are still available and start at only $99. You can pick any 9 games you want, and for a limited time you'll also get a complimentary ticket to the KUMU exhibition game here at Kauffman Stadium on Wednesday, April the 21st.
You're good.
Taco Bell got a lot of business from me and my boys in college.
Well,
99-cent tacos.
I was like White Castle in the minor leagues.
Ooh.
Ooh, 10 for $1. You only get $5 a day meal money.
Callaspo to center. Cameron makes the catch. Callaspo is 1 for 2, and the Royals are done in the 3rd inning. Sandwiches and breakfast items at Panera Bread. And by Thoroughbred Ford, the F-150 you want, the savings you need at Thoroughbred Ford. No score, thanks in large part to Kyle Davies getting out of the third inning. With the bases loaded, one out, Victor Martinez grounding into what some might regard as the most difficult double play to turn. A 3-6-1 double play with the pitcher covering. And it's also difficult because it's not an easy throw for the first baseman.
Well, Billy does a good job. He gets his body angled. That right foot slipped a little bit, but he had a clear line to Betancourt at second base. And Kyle, knowing that if he gets his double play, he's off the hook. He beats it over to first base. He gets himself set for the throw from Betancourt from shortstop. He does a good job getting over.
Through the left side, Kevin Youkilis is 1 for 2 and 5 for 11 to begin the season. Last year there were times when Billy had trouble with that throw, but as you were saying when the inning was over, that he had a much bigger lane to work with this time around.
But if he's holding the runner on and gets that ball, now the runner's right in the line that he's throwing to the shortstop, and the runner's watching which side the shortstop's going to go to the base at second, so he's trying to get in the way of that throw as much as possible. So that's why a lot of first basemen have a lot hard time making that throw. See right here, the runner just doesn't come into play at all, and he's just got a clear shot. Normally, you're throwing the ball right over the left or right shoulder of that runner going into second base, and especially the first base when he comes up, he doesn't step way inside. If he just stays in the same line, he's right in the path of the runner.
One and one on Ortiz. Davies struck him out with a changeup in the second inning. Ball for a strike. Ortiz thought it was up. Now this will be interesting because remember the height is adjusted to the size of the hitter.
Well, this will be a pitch that we will get a good look at. It was not only slightly up, but it was way off the plate.
But it was more off the plate than up. So, and right. he was saying up. He wasn't complaining about outside. He was saying that was up. You know, I always felt when someone like Richie Sexson or Frank Thomas was hitting, and you know the catcher would have to reach up maybe mask level or a little bit high, and it's easy for an umpire to say, well, that ball's up. Well, to Frank Thomas, that's across the belt.
Right.
I mean, that might be up to Dustin Pedroia, but to a taller hitter, that's in a pretty hittable zone.
Well, that's what probably make those guys behind the plate. That's probably what makes their job hard, is because there is nobody over on the left side.
So Youkilis will go first to third. Ortiz to second, just beats the throw. So very similar to the Ellsbury double last inning. And it sets up second and third and nobody out.
Well, look at the lineup there, and everybody is just totally swung around. Caspo's actually playing straight up shortstop when this pitch is made. So anything down that line on the ground is going to be a base hit. Even Pasednik was swung way around in left field.
So Kyle got out of the bases loaded and one out in the third. Now second and third, nobody out for Adrian Beltre, who grounded sharply to Betancourt in the second inning, and Betancourt's throw over to Butler was dropped for an error on Butler. So Beltre 0 for 1, but hit it hard. Big swing, fouled it back. And Beltre slamming his bat off of his cleats in frustration. I think he wanted to do more with that pitch.
Well, anything that's in the strike zone, not over the plate in this situation, it's good for any type of hitter to try to do what he needs to do to get that run home from third.
1-2 Coming up tomorrow night, the first 20,000 fans will get the Royals replica jersey presented by Fox Sports Kansas City. This dark blue jersey is our third giveaway in 3 years. So get your tickets now and join us for Fox Sports Kansas City's replica jersey night tomorrow. 6:10 game. Not to mention a great pitching matchup, Zach Greinke and Josh Beckett. This will get a run home as Beltre chases a high fastball. So Youkilis comes home. Beltre drives in his first of the year, and the Red Sox lead 1-0. And now we'll see what the Royals infield does with 1 out. And J.D. Drew coming up. With a faster runner, it appears the Royals would play with the infield in, but with David Ortiz at third base, they can afford to play with the infield halfway.
Well, I doubt very seriously with David's speed if they're going to have him going on contact, but this gives him an opportunity to make sure he doesn't go by playing halfway.
J.D. Drew looking at a curveball for strike 3 in the second inning. There's Kendall blocking another pitch in the dirt, and it's 2-0. Royals pitched J.D. Drew very well last year. He hit 167 against the Royals. His strikeout in the first inning, his first ever meeting with Kyle Davies. In the air to deep center. Ankiel all the way back at the wall, over every wall we have. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a big league home run.
Not only was it a big league home run, rather a big league home run off of a high changeup. I mean, this changeup just stayed out over the plate. I mean, he just got very well extended on this ball, but I had no idea he hit it that well. It went off all 3 walls.
Kyle gave up 18 home runs last year in 123 innings. So he was stung by the home run several times, and now Cameron pops it up to shallow left. Out number 2, Cameron 1 for 2. Here are the early returns on You Call It, presented by Sprint. Zach Greinke at 42%. And then Brett Saberhagen's first Cy Young, 32%, followed by 89 and 5% for David Cone. If you missed it early on, Zach was honored with several gifts from the Royals and from the league for his Cy Young award for 2009, and both Brett Saberhagen and David Cone were here. One and 1 to Marco Scudero. Popped out to short in the third inning, and with his follow through nailed Jason Kendall on the back of the helmet. Back to Kyle on one hop, and that's the end of the inning. But the Red Sox come up with 3. Drew with a 2-run home run. Davies, not much of a comparison tonight in the Roadrunner Turbo speed pitch comparison. Kyle Davies up to 95, Wakefield 75. Double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable.
And that's Tim's BP fastball right there. That's what I was telling you about. You got to look at Victor Martinez's setup when he's receiving these knuckleballs, and you know I just want to. I can guess why he's sitting that way.
Well, let's see. The knuckleball can be mishandled. It can end up in the dirt, and you want to make sure that you are properly protected. Is that where you were going?
That's where I'm going.
He uses more of a first baseman's glove than he does a catcher's glove, and that's what all catchers typically do with a knuckleballer. Wakefield and other knuckleballers sometimes will travel with their own glove just in case they're traded, and the team they go to, that catcher doesn't have a knuckleball glove. He will provide it. Beltre throws out Butler. Billy is 0 for 2. Wakefield was originally drafted as a shortstop way back in 1988 in the Pirates organization, and then moved to first base. Wasn't doing much with the bat, so he asked if he could try throwing his knuckleball in games, and it got him to the big leagues and the playoffs with the Pirates. Ankiel with yet another hit against Wakefield, and this is going to roll deep. Ankiel will hold with a 1-out double. So Ankiel 2 for 2 tonight and 4 for 6 with 2 doubles against Wakefield.
Well, started high, let it fly. That's what he did right there. He caught it at his highest point. And when he runs the bases, Ryan makes a good turn there at first base. We're thinking triple. I wonder if he's thinking triple, and he says, well, I better stop here.
His second double, his first, was on Wednesday night, which led to the winning run in the bottom of the 11th inning. Gets away from Martinez, but he's on it quickly. Jose Guillen popped a short in the second inning. Two balls, no strikes. Three for 11. Guillen against the Tigers with a double and an RBI. Going for it all.
Yeah, this is the one thing here. This ball almost acts like a big hanging curveball. It just goes up and down and away, and Jose was in pull mode on that swing.
Red Sox had him played perfectly, and Ankiel runs into an out. Scudero was way over to the left side of the infield. The hole was actually to the left side of second base. So that's pretty good advanced scouting.
Well, you see what Scudero's planning. You see what Rick Ankiel is here. Anytime the ball with less than 2 outs hits to your right, you've got to freeze. You can't take off like that. You got to make sure the ball gets through the infield before you take that next base, which is third base.
So the Royals lose a runner in scoring position. And now Jason Kendall, he struck out in the second inning. Ball is really carrying to center field tonight, and Cameron is unable to make the play. Guillen coming around third base. Here's Pedroia's relay. He is out. Royals make 2 outs on the bases in the third. At least get one in the bottom of the 4th inning, but a couple outs on the base pass, one in between second and third, and a runner thrown out at the plate.
Well, that'll get you out of an inning pretty quick, and when you're trying to get back in the ball game, those are mistakes you really can't make. So you just got to get on the bases, think about what your priorities are in terms of where the infielders are playing, watch where the ball's hit, make it go through, then go to the next base. Jose thrown out at the plate, it's a close play at the plate, so you can't say that's a base running mistake there. Basically, just being aggressive, and they had to make 2 really good throws to get him out at the plate.
Red Sox runs in the 4th. Beltre driving in a run with a ground out, and then J.D. Drew with a long home run to center field. And take nothing away from Drew's home run, he hit the ball hard, but with Jason Kendall taking one to the fence and the bottom of the 4th inning, it appears that the ball is getting a little extra hit out to center field. J.D. Drew hitting it over all 3 walls in straightaway center.
Yeah, we were kind of watching the flags, but the flags really aren't telling you the whole story as far as how that ball's traveling. But it was up in the zone, and Mike really thought he had a beat on it, but the ball just kept going.
Oh, and 2 on Jacoby Ellsbury. He's 2 for 2. Opened the game with a single, tried to turn it into a double, and David DeJesus threw him out. And then hit a bloop double into left field in the 3rd inning. And in that inning, the Red Sox had the bases loaded, 1 out, but Davies got out of it with a double play. And not only a double play, but a double play against number 3 hitter Victor Martinez. Billy to the camera bay, and just as he was hitting the rail, makes the catch.
But Billy has to know that rail is right there, but he never did look and take his eye off that ball, and he's just lucky that rail's high enough that he can reach over and hold on to it. It's not an easy play for a first baseman with all that going on over there.
Nice job, Phil. Pedroia is flied out. He is walked. No balls, 2 strikes. Pedroia, part of the Red Sox championship team in '07 when he was the American League Rookie of the Year, and then he backed that up as the 2008 American League Most Valuable Player. Had a home run, scored 4 runs, drove in 3 in the Yankee series. New York taking 2 out of 3 in Boston. Here's the cutter, and the count is 2-2. Remember the first start that Kyle made last year in Chicago? You and I were doing the game together, and we were so impressed with Davies' cutter, and we really thought that that would be a pitch that he would use a lot last year. This might have been one of those days where it was working great that day. Pedroia's out, 2 down in the 5th inning.
I think a lot of times, Ryan, pitchers can have too many pitches. You know, sometimes you try to work with 3 really good ones, and you add a 4th one and a 5th one, and sometimes it's hard to go into a game where you can have a feel for maybe 2 out of 3 very well, but that 3rd one might be one you got to search for during the day. But when you got 5, it's kind of hard to have a feel with 5 pitches. So sometimes you got to figure out real soon what's working and then stay with what's working. Use the other ones as a show pitch.
I just remember you and I being so impressed with that pitch and thinking, man, Kyle's got a good fastball, he's got a good changeup. You know, if it's on that day, his curveball's decent, and now, man, he's adding that cutter. But it didn't end up being one of his primary pitches. It was more of a secondary, maybe even a 3rd or 4th pitch.
Well, this is a curveball right here, and that pitch has been on for him today and tonight, and he's got a couple strikeouts with it, and there's one right there that's got a lot of good depth to it, but he's not overusing any one pitch.
Sednick back and left. So Martinez is out. He's 0 for 3. Davies has a 1-2-3 5th. Knuckleball for a strike on Yuniesky Betancourt. Struck out on the knuckleball in the 2nd inning. Victor Martinez may have thrown a knuckleball back at Tim Wakefield.
Caught him flat-footed.
Now, if that would have happened when Wakefield was pitching here in September with his back, they might have had to take him off the field on a stretcher.
It would have been traction time right there.
Martinez to the screen. So Betancourt is 0 for 2.
Now this is a first for me, seeing a catcher go back there with a first baseman, catch those pop-ups like that. Almost like a like a hockey glove, you know, just what do they call them, gloves in hockey, but at the goalie.
For the goal, yeah, and that looks like a first baseman's glove. Gets out on a fly ball to left in the third inning. Royals have stranded 4. They left 23 on base in the Tigers series. Here's tonight's AT&T trivia question. Who was the last American League Cy Young winner to pitch for a World Series winner in the same year?
Clemens? With Toronto, maybe?
They didn't go to the World Series. Did they go? Not when he was there. Getz is down on strikes, and that's 5 for Wakefield. Well, if I know Al Broughton the way I think I know Al Broughton, there's going to be some sort of a connection to tonight's game and the Royals' opponent. So how about Pedro Martinez in 2004?
Or Josh Beckett? No, he's not a Cy Young winner.
He won a Cy Young.
That's a good guess.
Ball 1 on David DeJesus, walked in the third, grounded out in the first. The last American League Cy Young winner to pitch for a World Series winner in the same year. So not just pitched in the World Series, but that team won it. Look out. Ooh. In some ways, that's more dangerous than the ball. The bat just skips on the top of the dugout like it's skidding on ice. And it's one thing to try and get out of the way of a baseball. It's another thing to try and get out of the way of a bat.
That's when Dad's got to get up and take one in the belly. When you got a kid next to you, it's kind of hard to duck because they don't see it coming most times because they're having fun watching the game, watching everybody around them. So he's just fortunate that not any more serious than it is. And the fans will boo when they take the bat, but they always take them back to customer service and let them get it later on. But they don't allow you to sit in the stands with the bat because strange things can happen.
Well, you know, if she keeps the bat, she might throw it back at David the next time he's on his way to the dugout.
I'm sure David's heart probably jumped in his mouth once that bat flew out of his hand.
And nobody feels worse than the hitter when something like that happens.
For sure. When I was playing, I hit a line drive that's going in the stands. I just turned my back because I didn't really want to see where it went. So don't boo the usher. She's just going to save it till after the game. It'll be okay.
3-2. Off the end of the bat into right center, and it's J.D. Drew. Royals down in order in the 5th. Selection of official caps, t-shirts, jerseys, collectibles, and more. The Royals.com shop has the latest apparel, nostalgic memorabilia, and authentic classics for the whole family. Shop from the comfort of home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All right, Frank, the last American League Cy Young winner who pitched for a World Series champion the same year. Going back to, let's see, in
you can always say saves.
05 was the White Sox. I don't think anyone won the Cy Young that year. 04 was the Red Sox. I guess Pedro Martinez. I don't know if he won the Cy Young or not that year. 03 was the Marlins. 02 was the Angels. I don't think an Angel won the Cy Young. Youkilis 1 for 3 with the flyout to Ankiel. 2001 was the Diamondbacks. 2000, I guess maybe you're right. Maybe we got to go all the way back to 1985. Nice job, Frank White.
You wouldn't think it'd be that far back, would you?
Yeah.
With a Cy Young winner on your team.
As I said, Al Broughton was going to connect it to tonight's game somehow. Not just going to pull some question out of the sky. David Ortiz doubled and scored on the J.D. Drew home run in the 4th inning. Drew driving in 2, and another runner coming home on Beltre's ground ball. Ortiz is 2 out of 13 to begin the year. One and 2. Kyle coming over to the Royals in 07 in a trade that sent Octavio Dotel to the Braves. And that was the official beginning of Joaquim Soria's tenure as Royals closer. 2 and 2. Kendall wanted the call. He held it out there for home plate umpire Mike Estabrook.
Well, we have a way of finding out. Fox Tracks will tell him exactly where this pitch was. Way out there. He did a real good job of framing it up for the umpire and made it look good to the fans.
Chalupa, anyone?
You know, when I go back and look at Fox Track, I mean, I'm looking at that little square. Yeah. I have never paid attention. I've never seen. This is the first night I've paid attention to the top.
I'm trying to decide how spicy the sauce and how many packets of sauce I'm putting on my taco. That's what I'm seeing.
You like the hard one or the soft?
Hot. No, hard shell, hot sauce. Did he go? Yes. Ortiz can't believe it. And he's asking Mike Estabrook, why don't you get some help from the third base umpire? And Ortiz is gone. Now, maybe it wasn't the right call, Frank, but is it worth getting thrown out this early in the game?
Well, Ryan, I tell you, I've played 18 years and never got kicked out of a ball game because I just wanted to do enough to let the manager know that I wasn't happy, but I didn't think anything was worth getting kicked out of the ball game over. And this is just probably frustration right here on Davis' part. He's off to a slow start. He's questioned every at bat. He's had a pitch to question. He questioned the high curveball. He questioned that swing. So I think there's just frustration right there.
Well, Frank was never kicked out of the game. That's the 8th time David Ortiz has been thrown out. That's a pretty big number. So Kyle with his 3rd strikeout.
Yeah, I never got kicked out of the game until I started managing that.
I remember you getting thrown out for the first time in a major league game right here by Darryl Cousins as the first base coach. DeJesus wants it in right field. So the Red Sox down 1-2-3, and they lose their DH. eye. Now that gal in the gray sweatshirt, she thinks she has us fooled with the cap pulled down and the dark glasses. The last time the Red Sox were here, that gal was standing in that spot and whoop, down on Donnie Miller, who, by the way, is a former NFL linebacker. Tried to stand back as if nobody would notice. And not only is she back this year, but really tempting fate by going back to the scene of the crime with a new weapon in hand. I like the guy on the far left, the bald guy in the white t-shirt. He just kind of looking at her like, I saw it. I don't know what you're going to do.
She can't believe she's on TV again. She returns to the scene of the crime. Oh. She had another accident.
Now we hear that she spent the entire offseason working very hard on gripping a cup of beer. But well, yeah. Two and one on Callaspo. So she does the right thing and hands it over to her more sure-handed friend. Don, yeah. He has not gotten over this at all. Callaspo hits it right on the nose, right to Cameron. So two well-hit balls against Wakefield in this inning, but right into the defense. Posednik with a sharp ground ball, and Callaspo with a line out to center field. So Tim Wakefield with 5 2/3 scoreless. Was not expected to be in the starting rotation this year. Daisuke Matsuzaka, the high-priced right-hander from Japan, on the disabled list with a neck strain. Wakefield was hoping at the time to be in the Red Sox bullpen, but ends up in the rotation with the injury to Matsuzaka. One and one to Billy Butler, who is 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a ground out.
Well, he told me today he felt so good he might want to pitch another 5 years. So that knuckleball can take you a long way as long as you stay healthy.
Well, he is 43. And I'm trying to think, is there anyone in between him and Jamie Moyer, who I think is, 48 or 49 this year? Very little strain on the body, and knuckleballers can pitch on short days' rest. Butler into deep left field. His first home run of the year. That's a third Royals hit it right on the nose, but only the first hit. And now Ankiel into deep right field. His first home run of the year.
If you want to see hanging knuckleballs, that's how you hit them. They get up there and they stay. They don't come down. And Billy teed off on his, and Rick Ankiel teed off on his right behind Billy.
Now the Royals want back to back to back, and Guillen hits it in the seats, but off to the first base side.
But you see that's more of a straight knuckleball that didn't do too much to Billy. He just ran right into his bat. Then Ankiel gets another one that stayed up right out over the middle of the plate.
Another big swing from Guillen.
But Jose's had two pretty good pitches to hit right there, and he's probably trying to hit them a little too hard, but they're right there for him to hit. They're right in the middle of the plate.
By the way, that makes Ankiel 3 for 3 and 5 for 7 against Ankiel. Boy, Jose really wants to make it back to back to back.
Well, just when he's try to swing that hard, your swing gets a little bit longer, and but he's had 3 real good pitches to hit in this at bat. You see this knuckleball here just stays right in the middle of the plate. He just pulled off of it just enough to slice it off. But it was right there for him to hit, to do something with.
Jose is grounded into a fielder's choice and popped out. Still alive, 1-2. Oh, now called out on strikes. Well, Mike Estabrook, he's got to ask for some help here. The Red Sox are running off the field. The grounds crew is running on the field. And now coming down from first base is Gary Darling. He's the crew chief. Now, why aren't Gary Darling and Mike Estabrook talking right now, Frank?
Well, they should be conferring to see what he saw, but everybody's off the field, so you can't. They're not going to bring him back now, I wouldn't think. But he probably,
why not?
Probably should ask for help. I really can't see him being overruled now when so many guys are. It's kind of hard to tell from that angle.
Well, if it hit the bat, it also hit Jose.
Looked like he fouled it right into his right hip.
Well, the inning apparently is over, and Roman Colon will take over for the Royals on the mound. The seventh inning, J.D. Drew with a 2-run home run for the Red Sox and a 3-run fourth. And then the Royals with back-to-back home runs in the sixth, Billy Butler and Rick Ankiel. And now Kyle Davies is out after 6 innings. I said Roman Colon is in the game. It's Robinson Tejeda. So Davies 6 innings, 3 runs, 6 hits. J.D. Drew with a long home run to center field in the 4th inning. Hit it over all 3 walls and almost to the base of the video board. His first of the year after hitting 24 last year.
Here's that fourth inning home run you're talking about, Ryan. This ball, just a fastball, a changeup out over the plate, and he just got all of it. You see it clear that third wall, and we said, well, where's this wind coming from? And shortly after that, Jason Kendall hit a ball to center field that just continued to go.
3-1 on Drew, who struck out in his first plate appearance. Third game for Tejeda, gave up 3 runs, 4 hits in 1 inning during the Tigers series. Leadoff walk. Royals bullpen in the Tigers series giving up 14 earned runs in 9 1/3 innings. And it really boiled down to 3 big innings, and 2 of the 3 began with a leadoff walk. That's the last thing the manager wants when he points down to the bullpen, is for the first batter to get a free pass. So Drew at first for Mike Cameron with a single and a flyout.
I think that's the one area that the bullpen really has to make a conscious effort to do when they come in there, is to make sure they get that early strike. And if you get that early strike, you got a chance to get the batter out. But if you continue to pitch behind, now you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, because a lot of times when they come in, you're trying to protect a 1-run lead or a 2-run lead.
Well, if you look at the percentages over the course of 9 innings, the leadoff walk, it's a very high percentage that guy comes around to score. But there's something about that leadoff walk from the 7th inning on, the percentage goes up even more.
Goes even more, right?
And now it's 2-0 to Cameron.
I was just sort of running that play on Guillen through my head again. If he swung at that ball and missed it, and he hit his right hip, that would be strike 3.
Right.
The ball bounces off and rolls away, then he's free to run the first. But there was never a tag, or there's never a throw made to end that inning.
I have to admit, I don't know the rule, but does it then become a dead ball if it hits a part of his body? I don't know the answer to that.
Right.
The part I can't figure out is, I mean, Guillen does not normally argue that vehemently, and Trey Hillman came out, and you got Gary Darling, the crew chief, right here at first base, coming down to help out Mike Estabrook, who is in the argument with both Hillman and Guillen, and he helps break up the argument. But, you know, even if Guillen didn't make contact, and even if the other 3 umpires felt that Guillen didn't make contact, why can't the 2 guys get together and just talk it over? Did you see something that I didn't see?
Right. It looks like he just swung. Even if he misses it, the question is it a dead ball if he hits him? Otherwise, he's free to run. But he
Drew is running, and on one hop, Kendall throws him out. Got some help from Getz on the one-hop throw.
Well, it's a good downward fastball, and tell you, a little skip off the grass. It might be a little damp down there. He's got a nice skip right on his shoe top right there. Getz did a good job getting his glove in there. Sometimes behind the plate, you don't always have to have a very strong arm if you're quick in your release time.
And that ends up being a big play because Tejeda walks Cameron. So if Drew steals second, there's 2 on, nobody out. And the Royals are back to work in the bullpen as Bob McClure goes out to chat with Tejeda. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Kyle Farnsworth warming up behind Tejeda. Well, I mentioned it yesterday, Frank, during the Tiger game, that, you know, it sure wasn't fun watching the Royals bullpen go through what they went through in the Tiger series, but you figured that was going to happen. I mean, with the bullpen having trouble last year and really the faces for the most part remaining the same, things aren't going to get corrected magically. It's nice to see some positive things in spring training, but these guys are going to have to face this during the regular year. Now the question is, are they going to get past it, or is it going to be much of the same as last year?
That's the million-dollar question right there, because they don't have to do this like once a week, or they got to do this every night. Somebody's got to take the ball after the 6th or 7th inning every night, and you need somebody that's going to come in there and throw strikes and get some guys out and move the game on to Soria on the end.
Because even if the Royals bullpen had an excellent series against Detroit, over the course of 6 months, you're going to have a series like that. You're going to have a stretch like that. And the question always is, you know, the late inning relievers have to have that short memory. How quickly will they bounce back from it? And a sarcastic round of applause as Tejeda makes it 2-1 on Scudero, who is 0 for 2.
But sometimes a pitcher has the stuff. They've got the arm, they've got the velocity, they've got the number of pitches they need. But the bottom line is throw it for a strike. And sometimes you try to be too fine and you find yourself behind. Now you got to come in there with a fastball down the middle, and you just put yourself in a better hitting, put the hitter in a better hitting count, and put yourself in trouble. I mean, we've seen Tejeda pitch well. We've seen Colon pitch well. We've seen, Cruz pitch well. It's just that consistency of how many times you're going to do it versus how many times you don't do it.
That is the 3rd walk in the inning. Well, fans, this season it's easier than ever to find the seats you want or sell tickets to the games you can't make on StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Kansas City Royals. You'll find great seats and great service on all StubHub tickets. So go to StubHub.com and choose your seats today. Well, Joel, he does this several times each year when we have a play like we did in the bottom of the 6th. You'll find Steve Palermo if he's here. And we'll get to Joel with his report on the Guillen strikeout in the bottom of the 6th when we come back, as Trey Hillman is going to bring Kyle Farnsworth in. Kyle Farnsworth is the 3rd Royals pitcher, and he'll get the top of the order coming up with 2 on and 1 out. Farnsworth ended up with the win on Wednesday night, gave up a run in the top of the 11th inning, ended up picking off a runner as the Tigers were trying a double steal, and that was big because it held the Tigers to 1 run, and the Royals got 2 in the bottom of the 11th to win it. So we were talking about the Jose Guillen strikeout in the bottom of the 6th inning, and Joel was able to catch up with Steve Palermo.
Yeah, Ryan, and Steve just told me that on the swinging third strike that hits a batter, the ball, as you guys were guessing, is dead, for the reason being that a catcher doesn't have the opportunity to catch it because it hit the batter. So the ball is dead. As far as looking at another umpire on both of those plays that involved him as well as Big Papi David Ortiz, Steve said that if the umpire sees it and feels like he got a good look, he doesn't have to ask for a second opinion, guys.
Well, yeah, and I don't have to jump off the Empire State Building when I'm in New York. Inside ball one on Jacoby Ellsbury. I mean, but just if a team is arguing that vehemently, Frank, don't you think that home plate umpire has the obligation, especially when the crew chief comes walking down? In my opinion, yeah, on one hand, Gary Darling is there to support Mike Estabrook, and I know what Steve is saying. I mean, they're not obligated to ask. So Gary Darling's coming down for support, but I think he's also making himself available if Mike Estabrook wants to say, hey, you had a good look at first base. Did you see anything?
Well, that's a good guess there. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Unless he's coming down to just clear one of those guys out of there so he can argue with Trey, just get Jose out of the argument. They do that also, too. But sometimes umpires are so sure that they see a play that they don't want to ask for help. Like some guys will get in a habit of every ball that does a check swing, you got the catcher pointing down to the guy at third base for help, and for a long time they used to respond to it. Now they very rarely respond to it anymore. But a lot also seen too, if an umpire refuses to ask, no matter how much you argue, they're not going to ask, because if that guy down there overrules him, then everybody looks bad. So it's got to be something that's done right away.
Bobbled by Butler. That was probably not a double play ground ball. Billy looking around in frustration, but with Ellsbury's speed, the Royals were going to get one out. They may have preferred to get an out at second base.
Well, this is hit pretty good. You always just basically, Ryan, what you said, you just want to get that lead runner at all. And when you got a shot at get him, you want to get him right now. So Billy was fortunate with his body angle the way it was that he was able to keep that ball on the infield.
He looked like he was kind of positioning himself for a throw down to second base.
But you don't want to set up that quick. You can't set up and get your feet set when the ball's got quite a ways to come. You got to stay square to the ball to make sure you, first of all, as a first baseman, you're like a third baseman. Knock the ball down first and make sure you get that one out. You don't want to put yourself in a position where the ball can get by you.
So second and third for Pedroia, and Farnsworth throws strike one.
See, look how soon he sets up. He's already set up, and this is going to be a long way to turn. So in this play here, you got his body is still pretty much facing first base, so that would have been a big turn for Billy right there to make that throw. But you see how close it came for that ball getting by him and going down the right field line.
0-2 to Pedroia, who is 0 for 2 with a walk. Just to add to your point and to put the Guillen play to bed, yeah, you're right. All heck breaks loose if someone overrules a call, but I think you should be more concerned with getting the call right than having an argument, because in the end, it's going to come down to what's on the videotape.
In the end, yes.
Farnsworth comes in and slams the door on the Red Sox, so they get 3 walks and no runs in the inning. equipment, yard care solutions start at SteelDealers.com. And by Thoroughbred Ford, the new Ford you want, the savings you need right now at Thoroughbred Ford. 3-2 Red Sox with the Royals coming up in the bottom of the 7th. Royals scoreless for the first 5, and then with 2 outs and nobody on. Back-to-back home runs from Billy Butler and Rick Ankiel. Jason Kendall is 1 for 2 with a double. It'll be Kendall, Betancourt, and Getz in the bottom of the 7th. This is the 90th pitch for Wakefield, and it's 2-1. 1 walk, 6 strikeouts for Wakefield. Hit hard to left. Ellsbury was shallow. That's the second time the Royals have hit one hard to the left side, but right into the defense. Let's go around the American League, brought to you by Panera Bread. Detroit winning their home opener 5-2. Rick Porcello getting the win. Jose Valverde, I'm sure, a celebratory save. Toronto beating Baltimore, with the Blue Jays getting 2 in the 9th inning. Texas in front of Seattle. Minnesota winning a series in Anaheim. They're in Chicago. And Oakland at the Angels. Oakland off to a 3-1 start. Oh, 2 on Betancourt. He was struck out and fouled to the catcher. One ball, 2 strikes. That is Hideki Okajima warming up in the Red Sox bullpen. Two and two. Wakefield right now is the longest tenured Red Sox player, and by a long shot. Joined the Red Sox in '95, signed to a minor league contract, non-roster invitee, and now in his 16th season with Boston. Ellsbury in left field takes care of Betancourt, 2 down in the 7th inning. So you go from a non-roster invitee, minor league contract in '95, and now Tim Wakefield has made the most starts in Red Sox history. He has pitched in the 2nd most games in Red Sox history. He spent some time as a reliever. Wakefield has 22 saves in his career, and he has the 2nd highest total of wins in Sox history. Another 1 hit for Chris Getz. He's 1 for 3. And now Getz is out. Are they going to say he ran out of the baseline?
Unless he was out of the box when he actually bunted the ball.
Either out of the box, running in the baseline, or I don't think he made contact with the ball. Well, I guess they say he ran out of the box. Well, Esterbrook made the call right away.
It's almost like he's out of the box, or maybe the ball hit him before he got out, while he was out of the box. Yeah, he stepped inside the white line. One thing about him, he's got some great eyes.
Or something like that. Chris Getz still frustrated that he was called out for, we assumed, running out of the box. So if he is out of the box, it's an illegally batted ball. But the question is, was he out of the box? From that angle and another angle, it appeared that he was actually on the line with his right foot. That looks like he's on the chalk. Maybe that's right on the chalk. And then when he makes contact, that other foot, I don't know if can the foot, is the call maybe that the left foot swung outside the box?
No, you can have that in the air. It's just more like, it's like if you had a hit and run or you had a squeeze bunt, you can keep it in the air, bunt the ball, and then come down. You just can't come down before you bunt it.
And then the left foot didn't come out of the front of the box until after he made contact.
Right. So the question is, the right foot, where he had more of the heel inside the box than inside the white line near the plate.
They called it right away. Now, to me, you can be on the line. How many guys go to the back of the batter's box and stand on that back line? Or remember when Carl Everett was playing in the big leagues, he would stand right on the box and he would be on the line close to the plate. So Mike Estabrook is certainly leaving his mark tonight. And once again, Joe Goldberg was able to catch up with Steve Palermo.
Yeah, burning some calories running up and down the stairs trying to catch up with Steve. He had a pretty good description of what happened before. And this one, he said, not going to comment on that. He saw what he saw.
That tells us the story.
Well, there you go. It's kind of umpiring like he's taking a final exam tonight. This was Kyle Farnsworth warming up before the top of the 8th. Farnsworth, you remember last year in June, went down with a groin injury in Houston.
Yeah, it looks like he's kind of favoring that right leg a little bit.
So Juan Cruz is in the top of the 8th. So that's the way it's going right now in the Royals bullpen. Even when somebody comes out of the pen and pitches well, like Farnsworth did, he came in and inherited a tough spot. Runners at first and second, 1 out. Got a ground ball for Ellsbury, and then second and third, 2 outs, and struck out Pedroia with a fastball at 98. And then he has to leave because of an injury. Cruz will get Victor Martinez, Kevin Youkilis, and a new DH as David Ortiz was ejected in the 6th inning by home plate umpire Mike Estabrook. Martinez 0 for 3 and was a key out in the 3rd inning. Kyle Davies facing the bases loaded and 1 out. Got a big double play from Martinez, and the hard way 3-6-1 with Davies running over to cover at first base. Martinez chasing a few pitches tonight out of the strike zone. Royals got 6 innings from Davies, gave up 3 runs, all those runs coming in the 4th. J.D. Drew hit a 2-run home run. Robinson Tejeda took over in the 7th inning, pitched 1/3 of an inning. The out was Jason Kendall, throwing out J.D. Drew trying to steal second. 3 walks for Tejeda, and then Farnsworth bailed him out. And a good start for Cruz with the strikeout of Martinez.
And Fox Tracks gives us a good look at this pitch from Cruz. There's a slider that stayed outside the zone, and Martinez chased it. .96 miles an hour, and ball 1 to Kevin Youkilis. 1 for 3.
scored on Adrian Beltre's ground out in the 4th inning. Youkilis with perhaps the most unique batting stance, at least as far as how he holds his hands in all of baseball.
I don't know if you do that from a kid or you started in high school or college, or I'm not interested to see when he actually started. That's my question for him tomorrow.
Well, maybe you'll get a better answer than I did. I asked him a couple of years ago, with that stance, are you trying to emphasize something specifically? And he said, no.
One word answer.
So maybe he'll give you a better answer.
Just one word?
I mean, he was nice about it. Maybe he didn't want to give away the reason why he does that, but you don't have a batting stance like that by accident.
I agree with that.
You're trying to do something. Plus those feet so close together. Juan Cruz with back-to-back strikeouts to Martinez and Youkilis.
When you come out and you get ahead of hitters, you got a chance to get him out. And he's at the bottom of the strike zone with that pitch. Good spot for it with 2 strikes. You always hear Bob McClure talk about throwing too good at pitches with 2 strikes. And that was an excellent pitch with 2 strikes. It's a strike, but it's not a fat pitch in the middle of the plate.
Jeremy Hermida batting in the designated hitter spot after David Ortiz was ejected. Singles out into right field. Coming over from the Marlins. Royals saw him in Florida a couple of years ago. Former first-round pick of the Marlins in 2002. So he's at first for Adrian Beltre. On deck is left-hand hitting J.D. Drew, and maybe that's why John Parrish is loosening up. If the Red Sox get that far in this inning, we could see Parrish to face Drew. Adrian Beltre 0 for 3, driving in a run with a ground out in that 3-run 4th inning. Beltre, another one of the Red Sox acquisitions because of his defense first. He's a 2-time Gold Glove winner. Excellent third baseman. They also picked up Mike Cameron, who's won 3 Gold Gloves in center field, and Marco Scutaro at shortstop. Beltre last year with the Mariners played in 111 games. He was on the disabled list a couple of times. Past Cruz and into center field. So a good start to the inning with back-to-back strikeouts, but now back-to-back singles. Trey Hillman to the steps. And it will be John Parrish to face J.D. Drew.
Okay. So you got Davies in the first, throwing out Jacoby Ellsbury at second base, trying to stretch a double. There's a 3-6-3 where Kyle Davis gets over, helps himself at first base. And Billy Butler goes to the dugout seats there to make a nice catch. And here's Jason Kendall. A nice throw, getting J.D. Drew at second base.
So John Parrish, and those are the numbers in spring training that impressed the Royals enough for him to make the opening day roster. He has appeared in 2 games, facing a couple of batters, getting them both out. So now here is his 3rd batter, a left-hand hitter, trying to get the final out of the 8th inning. J.D. Drew struck out in the 2nd, hit a long home run to center field in the 4th with a man on, and then walked in the 7th. He has Hermida at second base, Beltre at first with 2 outs. Both of those runners reaching against Juan Cruz. 1 ball, 1 strike. J.D. Drew has faced Parrish just once before tonight, and he's 0 for 1. Two balls, 1 strike. Parrish is the 4th Royals reliever in the last 2 innings. Kyle Farnsworth had to leave before this inning began as he was warming up with an injury. Juan Cruz struck out the first 2, then gave up 2 singles, and now Parrish. Estabrook takes one off the mask. Royals bullpen in the Tigers series, 9 1/3 innings, gave up 14 earned runs. Struck him out. So Parrish in 3 games has faced 3, retired 3. Red Sox scoreless.
From Rivals, as Paul Splittorff, as always, will join me out there in right field. A lot to talk about. More positives from the starting pitching, plus Rick Ankiel's bat really getting going. We'll revisit our conversation with Cy Young Award winners David Cohn and Brett Saberhagen. Interviews, analysis, and much more coming up after the game, guys.
All right, Joel. And all right, John Parrish coming on with 2 on and striking out J.D. Drew, getting the Royals out of the 8th. And now in the bottom of the 8th, the Red Sox will go to their bullpen, and it's lefty Hideki Okajima And the Royals have left-hand hitters David DeJesus and Scott Posednik coming up against Okajima. Okajima will never forget Kauffman Stadium. He made his major league debut here in 2007 on opening day, and his first major league pitch was to John Buck, and Buck hit a home run. The Red Sox bullpen had some troubles in their first series. In 12 1/3 innings with some control issues, they had 8 walks. Two and one on DeJesus. David 0 for 2, and he has walked.
He's got that odd way of delivering, almost like he's looking at the ground when he releases the ball to the plate. Probably give me a stiff neck, you know, just doing that continually over and over again.
Well, pitchers are, taught at a very young age to keep their eye on the target all the way through their follow-through. But Okajima, when he delivers, he's looking down at his shoe tops.
That's unbelievable. I'm sure he sees to a degree, but I'm not sure how much.
Over third, fair ball. Ellsbury on it quickly, but DeJesus is into second. Tying run in scoring position with nobody out.
Well, that's an excellent piece of hitting by David. He's been taking those left-handers the other way the entire homestand, and he just stays right on it, doesn't try to pull it, hits it right where it's pitched, right down the line. And you got to leave home plate looking for that double, and David never slowed down and made it in second base easily.
Red Sox are expecting a bunt from Posednik, who lays one down. Martinez picks it up with the bare hand to record the out. So the tying run is at third with one out.
Yeah, the Royals almost caught a break there. Posednik did a good job getting the ball down, but Martinez's throw crossed the line, and he almost had a collision with Posednik and Pedroia at first base.
Daniel Bard, a right-hander, coming on to face Alberto Callaspo. Run at third with one out on a night And the Royals have recognized Zach Greinke for his Cy Young Award last year. And we asked you, and you call it, what is your favorite Cy Young season? Brought to you by Sprint. And 42% going with Zach. 10% more than Brett Saberhagen in the championship year. We'll give you the final totals during Boulevard Royals Live. So David DeJesus at third base with one out. And the Red Sox will bring the infield in for Alberto Callaspo. Alberto moves over to the left side. Alberto 1 for 3, singled in the first inning. He is also lined to center. So he's 1 for 3, but he could easily be 2 out of 3. And you know he still has yesterday's game in the back of his mind.
He's got to get something up in his zone so he can get the ball over the drawn in infield. And even if he gets jammed, he's got a chance to get it to the outfield.
Daniel Bard, a first-round pick of the Red Sox in 2006. He was their minor league pitcher of the year in 08. And he grew up modeling himself after Kyle Farnsworth, who left the game earlier tonight with an injury. Down and in at 97 miles an hour, and that's why he has modeled himself after Farnsworth. Just likes to reach back and let it fly.
Well, Foxtrot says that's a strike, and really when you talk about left-handed hitters, balls that are thrown in that area is almost like an automatic trigger for left-handed hitters. And Alberto left it alone. Hopefully he's looking for something up that he can get out over the infield.
3-1. And he ran that one up there at 98. DeJesus opened the inning with a double. Posednik bunted him to third. Callaspo, in scoring situations yesterday, grounded into 2 double plays and struck out. Drives it into deep right, but foul. Got around on a 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
Well, that one, Bart got up a little higher. The other one's a little bit lower, but I tell you what, he's got some quick hands. I mean, he got all the bat on that ball.
Red Sox hoping for a ground ball and a play at the plate. First and third, one out for Butler.
Go back to the 6th inning, Ryan, and Billy gets a ball from Wakefield that's up around the waist and definitely deposited 417 feet away from home plate.
Willie Bloomquist will run for Callaspo, and that represents the go-ahead run. And the last time Willie Bloomquist was a pinch runner representing the go-ahead run, he scored the go-ahead run on Wednesday night against the Tigers. DeJesus, the tying run at third. And, of course, what Billy Butler is trying to avoid here is a ground ball double play. One ball, no strikes. Billy last year faced Daniel Bard a couple of times. Bard struck him out, and Billy hit a double. So the walk from Bard to Callaspo means that the Red Sox bullpen in 12 2/3 innings has walked 9. In addition to several other career highs last year, Willie Bloomquist had 25 stolen bases. Not running, and Billy pulls it foul. It's 1-1.
A lot of interesting decisions here on the corner. Beltre gets a ball that's right at him. He's going to make sure that David doesn't score. But if it takes him to his left, he may have to go to second base and try to turn a double play.
Fake to third, look to first. Bloomquist didn't bite. The Red Sox may be expecting Bloomquist to run to avoid the double play. Martinez is not a great throwing catcher, and Bard, like a lot of power pitchers, can be slow to the plate. Bloomquist not running, and now it's 1-2 to Billy.
And 1-2 count's usually a pretty good count to run on. It's usually a breaking ball count for a lot of pitchers, and managers will run on that count. So we want to make sure that Billy gets every opportunity to hit right here.
Bloomquist does not have a big lead. He's not running, and Billy stays alive. That breaking ball hung, but it may have been too high for Billy to do anything with it.
Well, it's not one that he could have stayed through and drove. He just sort of, his hands got out front and rolled over on it and just beat it down in the ground. Well, he's just in that position now, Ryan, where he's got to just protect. You know, you got to make sure that you don't take anything questionable right here. You got to try to put the ball in play.
Bloomquist runs this time. Butler strikes out. So 2 down. But a second runner moves into scoring position, and now Rick Ankiel comes up. And Ankiel began his Royals career going 0 for 7, but late in the game on Wednesday hit this double in the bottom of the 11th inning, which led to the winning run coming around to score. And then tonight, against knuckleballer Tim Wakefield, singled in the second, stole a base, doubled in the fourth, and then after Butler's home run in the sixth, the very next pitch from Ankiel ended up in the seats in right field.
You know, the Royals really haven't had a lot of runners on where you can say that they're running a lot. But when you look at the 2 stolen bases by Chris Getz, Ankiel's stolen base, this stolen base here by Willie Bloomquist, they're still in the important bases in crucial times that they need to have. They've been able to do that so far this season.
John Farrell, Red Sox pitching coach, out to chat with Bard and Martinez before Ankiel digs in. Ankiel in the National League last year at the Cardinals, so this is his first at bat against Daniel Bard. A little bit inside, ball 1. Plays off a very close pitch, and it's 2-0.
First base open, got a right-hander hitter up next. I wonder how fat a pitch he'll throw here. Will he just throw one of those intentional walks without being an intentional walk?
Down the middle, broken bat. 1 run is home. Here's Bloomquist, and the Royals have taken the lead. Ankiel has driven in 3.
it's really not your typical 2-0 swing, but he got the job done, and that's just a testament of his strength right there. Bat shattered, but he got it out in a good part of the outfield to get those 2 runs on the home plate.
Second game in a row, a Royal has come up with 4 hits for Ankiel. That's the first time in his career.
But this just went right back out over the plate. That bat just split right down the middle. Hit it right on the trademark.
So tonight it's the Royals coming back in the later innings. 1 ball, 1 strike to Guillen.
No, Ankiel's bat actually went all the way to the mound and hit Bart on the foot. In his frustration, he picked it up and slung it toward the first baseline.
But not at Ankiel like
No.
Roger Clemens did with Mike Piazza in the
Not even
2000
close,
World Series.
that.
Off the fist into left. Ellsbury is there. Royals come up with 2 in the bottom of the 8th. And with 2 outs, Rick Ankiel breaking his bat, but driving in 2. And now here comes Soria going for his first save of the year. Two games, or at least game and a half with the Royals. Now has 6 hits in his next 3 games. He puts the Royals in front in the bottom of the 8th. And now Joakim Soria making his second appearance. His first was the blown save on Wednesday night. Mike Cameron gets it through the left side. And the Red Sox have the tying runner at first with nobody out. Don't forget, we're in the home stretch for the 2010 census. It's not too late. Fill out and mail back your census form today. Willie Bloomquist coming over to talk to Soria. So Willie, who for the second time in the last 3 games scores the go-ahead run. He'll stay in the game at third for Castro. Marco Scutaro 0 for 2 with a walk. Trey Hillman asked Joakim Soria to get 4 outs on Wednesday. He struck out the first batter and only batter he faced in the 8th inning for the final out, then struck out the first 2 in the top of the 9th inning, and then had a long battle with Miguel Cabrera, who hit the home run off the bottom of the right field foul pole to tie it. Royals ended up winning that game in 11.
That was a classic at bat right there.
Scudero missed the bunt. It's 1-1.
Yeah, that's one of those at bats where a good hitter, a good pitcher, you foul off the tough pitches and wait for one, and then you do something with it when you get it. And that was that's probably our #1 classic at bat of the year so far. You know, Scudero's trying to wait a long time here to turn around the bunt. It's almost like wanted to be a surprise. If you're going to bunt it, just go ahead and square it like he is right now.
He took your advice, and he lays down a pretty good bunt. Joaquin will play it to first. So the bunt gets Cameron to second base. And up comes the top of the order. Jacoby Ellsbury has singled and doubled. He is 2 for 4.
You don't see the sacrifice bunt on the road when you're on the road. When you're the visiting team and you're down by a run in the 9th, usually you don't see the sacrifice. Usually they try to go for the win.
But against one of the best closers in the American League, I guess you have to think to yourself, what are the chances we're going to have a big inning against him?
Well, that's a thought. If you can prolong the inning and build his pitch count, score a run, and that could change the whole complexion of the ballgame.
Ellsbury has faced Soria once and walked. Broken bat, foul ball.
See some distance on the bats today.
Billy was chasing the ball, and the bat was chasing him. Joel, you had 3 objects coming your way.
Yeah, and I will say this, guys. I was back far enough that I didn't really have to duck for cover, so I just ducked. But when you see 3 things coming at you, I mean, it's hard to imagine what it's like for those fielders out there as you see a ball and 2 pieces of bat coming.
Slow curve, got him. Ellsbury just gave up on it too soon.
Well, you can see that he saw that it was a strike. I mean, he could just hit. He's just so frustrated he couldn't pull the trigger on it. But you're right, he gave up on that pitch way too soon. But Fox Track says he had a reason to give up on it too soon. But Ken does a great job of just holding that glove in a good position right there. It gives the umpire a real good look.
Strike 1 on Pedroia. 0 for 3 tonight with a walk. And against Joaquin Soria, Pedroia is 1 for 4. Out of play. Pedroia made the final out of the 7th inning, striking out against Farnsworth, and he was just boiling mad at himself. So he has a chance to erase that memory with the tying run at second base and 2 outs, but he's behind, no balls, 2 strikes. And he was way out in front of the curveball at 69 miles an hour and was lucky to make contact.
It's really amazing how he and Zach can do that. They can go up with, Zach can get higher, but Martin's 93 at times with his fastball and come back with that little controlled breaking ball. It's really an art to being able to control both those at such different speeds.
He is not very big, and he swings so hard, Pedroia, but he has excellent hand-eye coordination.
And this pitch here makes Soria so tough. He very rarely is in the middle of the plate. He's on the inside corner, outside corner, and And every night they throw the ball in off the plate. He just got so much to work with. But mostly, his biggest asset is command.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Soria was really running it up there with his fastball, throwing several pitches at 94, but didn't quite have the feel for his curveball on that cold, windy night. Much better night tonight. 69 degrees at first pitch. Mike Cameron singled. Scudero bunted him to second base. And then Ellsbury just struck out. Wow. That came very close to hitting Pedroia on the hands.
Wow. He swung at that like he almost didn't see it, Ryan. That ball just took off inside. Man, that's way inside.
Does that make the list?
Well, he took a full swing. I don't think I've ever seen him check swing. You know?
He had cracked his bat on that swing over. He should get a new stick.
That far inside, he should have cracked his bat on that one. That ball just started running and ran right in on his hands.
There's not a whole lot of lumber to deal with that close to the hands. Staying alive, and Pedroia, one of the. First we'll look at the Fox tracks. But Pedroia, one of the better hitters in the American League, and just like Miguel Cabrera, just fighting off the tough pitches like Cabrera did on Wednesday, waiting for a mistake.
But that was a tough pitch for him to foul off right there. And Joaquin got away with a hanging breaking ball.
Soria has thrown 15 pitches, 13 for strikes. And 8 in this matchup with Dustin Pedroia. Royals 1 strike away from taking game 1 with Boston. Right field. De Jesus is there, and the Royals take game 1. 4-3, getting 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning on Rick Ankiel's 2-out single to take the lead. So this time around, it was the Royals down early and coming back and taking the lead and winning. The Red Sox with 3 in the 4th inning. Royals didn't get any runs until the 6th. Billy Butler